Angell's Law of Patriotism. This presentation is a follow-on from the previous video, the one concerning the US Federal Register. So, what is Angell's Law of Patriotism? Well, the depth of patriotism for the citizens of every country is inversely proportional to their wealth. The wealthier you are, the less patriotic. This is because many wealthy citizens have finally woken up to the fact that they are being treated as assets of the state, merely taxation in waiting. I was prompted to discuss this law after I recently reread a fascinating article that I dug out of my files entitled "Swiss Banks Tell American Expats to Empty Their Accounts." It was published in Time magazine way back in December 2013. You can still find it on the magazine's website. Just follow the link on the screen. Written by Helena Bachman, it tells of Americans who feel guilty when considering giving up their US citizenship. Nevertheless, many do hand in their passports, despite such misgivings. As we saw in the previous video, the Federal Register lists thousands of these now expatriates who have turned their backs on the country of their birth. And there are many more eager to queue up at US embassies around the world, holding a second passport from another country, in order to start the requisite bureaucracy. Although a side effect of the COVID-19 pandemic is that in the short term, these queues will be severely restricted, as is apparent in the figure from the third quarter of 2020. There is no need to guess why potential scapees want to leave. It's the IRS. The wannabe expats are sick and tired of having to pay taxes on the income and wealth they have earned outside of the US. Only 3 countries tax their citizens in this way. The US joins Eritrea and North Korea. But it's not just about money. The sheer complexity of the regulations means US citizens have to spend huge amount of time filling in labyrinthine forms. And time is money. Furthermore, it's so easy to make mistakes, and then they face the possibility of fines, or at the very least, yet more time is wasted sorting out problems. And that's not to mention the nightmare possibility of an IRS audit. It's not just a simple matter of handing over the paperwork to an accountant. They too are becoming wary of involvement because of the implications of even the smallest error on their business. Those who do choose to represent expatriates can be expected to charge an arm and a leg for their services. The same is true for non-US banks. In her article, Bachman states that these banks view US clients as more trouble than they're worth, for they bring with them a raft of paperwork and horrendous implied liabilities. So why bother? With the approach of the final date for filing tax returns, a swarm of hysterical American citizens blankets the globe. The more money these expatriates have or earn, the bigger their headaches. Some high net worth individuals will decide that sheer scale of the equation involving time, money and pain has become totally ludicrous, as they add up the costs of their commitment to the United States. Angell's Law of Patriotism comes into play, and many will reach a tipping point. After asking themselves, is being American worth the price they have to pay? Some will choose to fly away. The higher the taxes become, the more complex and intrusive the regulations, so many more will join the exodus. Of course, there are some exceptions to this rule. Some of the ultra-wealthy with far too much money, like Bill Gates, even offer to pay more taxes. But how much is too much money? Mere multimillionaires will say that they can never have enough. They choose to hand over no more than is legally required. And even then, that amount they believe is too much. They are only too aware of the stories of fortunes lost through scandal, huge legal bills, capricious markets, foolish investments, fraudulent advisors, and other tricks of the fickle finger of fate. As sober warnings, they have Harvey Weinstein, Ike Batista, Sean Quinn, Björgolfur Godmundsson, Masayoshi Son, and many others who lost everything. And that was before the COVID-19 outbreak. Because of the virus, the number of millionaires in the US is now down by 500,000. And the world's wealthiest 500 people have lost a total of $1.3 trillion. Britain's super rich have lost a combined total of £54 billion. With all this uncertainty, now is not the time to give away your money to profligate and near bankrupt states. Of course, there are exceptions like Jeff Bezos and major shareholders in Big Pharma who have profited from COVID-19. But it will be interesting to see if those who have bucked the trend will refund their customers or be extra generous to the state. One or two maybe, but not the majority. Americans who have escaped the IRS and are listed in the Federal Register have said that the only thing that initially held them back was the reaction of their families. They were made to feel like traitors. But they gave up US citizenship anyway. And what's so virtuous about unquestioned patriotism anyway? I'm with Dr. Samuel Johnson. Patriotism is the last resort of the scoundrel. Despite the snide and sanctimonious rebukes from the self-righteous scoundrels among the families of expatriates, you can bet those very same relatives wouldn't turn down any largesse coming their way from the newly untaxed and much richer expatriotic expatriates. And then, would they object to the amount of tax to be paid on any windfall? I wonder. If the sums were large enough, would they stick to their patriotic principles? Or would Angell's law of patriotism be triggered once again? The depth of patriotism for the citizens of every country is inversely proportional to their wealth.